I'm your host, Katherine Seymour. This episode is brought to you by MacRAE'S, trusted by North American businesses for over 100 years. As a leader in B2B digital marketing, we help industrial and manufacturing companies struggling with stagnant growth and lead generation. By leveraging advanced AI integration and automation in our SEO and lead generation programs, we help you appear more prominently in search and in AI results, such as ChatGPT. This significantly drives more qualified leads to websites, resulting in stronger lead flow and increased revenue, crucial in today's highly competitive digital landscape. Learn more at macraes.com today. Today I'm joined by Daniel Allford, President and Founder of Arc Specialties. Arc Specialties is a global leader in industrial automation, delivering custom robotic systems and turnkey solutions for welding, machining, and material handling. With a deep focus on precision engineering and innovation, ARC serves a wide range of industries, helping manufacturers solve complex challenges through advanced automation and robotics. What sets the company apart is not just their cutting edge technology, but their ability to build systems tailored uniquely to their clients' needs. Daniel, welcome. We're so excited for you to join us today.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. Daniel, let's start with ARC Specialties' origin story. What inspired you to start the company and what was the vision in the early days?
On the very beginning, it was my dad that inspired me. He was an English professor, but then ultimately he was an entrepreneur. And if you have one in the family, that's usually indicates that there might be another. And so he inspired me. He showed me that it was possible. And so I had a great job back in 1983 when I filed the DBA, which is doing business, assumed name for this little company. But I had extra energy in the evenings and I wanted to do something more. And so I started working and building machines and welding stuff in my garage. And so what was the motivation? Probably ADHD.
Yeah, and obviously something to keep you busy for sure. That's amazing.
Then it went on and on, and I've been doing robotics the whole time since '79.
Mhm.
I was early in the game just because I was a computer geek who liked to do industrial processes. You combine computer geek with processes, you get a roboticist. At least you did back in the early '80s. Now it's more of a formal set of training. They call it mechatronics or robotics, whatever you'd like. But in the early days, I had a unique and odd combination of skills, and it worked out. And so around '90, I went full time. So for the first 7 years, it was part-time deal. But even during the first 7 years, I was doing a lot of fun projects. I did a hot tap at a nuclear plant. I built a wheel welding machine, a whole lot of stuff for the first 7 years. But then ultimately, I was working for a company and I didn't approve of their ethics. And so when I wanted to quit because of the ethical issues, the obvious solution was just to go full time with Arc Specialties. And that was 1990, and I haven't looked back.
Amazing. Your leadership style and the company's philosophy seem to revolve around innovation, customization, and precision. How have these values shaped your team culture and customer relationships?
Uh, I think I've got a bunch of guys like me, and I can't say that anymore. We just hired our first female engineer, so but they all like new challenges and to varying degrees, and
Right.
so we'll go out there and somebody will ask us, how do you make titanium bulletproof, or something crazy like that, or how do you weld pure tungsten, or how do you weld molybdenum, and so the guys they're like me, they go, that sounds interesting. Let's go in the lab and we'll play. And so that kind of permeates the whole company. So they're always looking for new tasks. And the reality is, that's all well and good, but you need some standard products. But in order to get standard products, you have to start with that one off. And for
Right.
example, yeah. So for example, the cladding we do. We reach into valves and we coat the inner surfaces of valves for H2S sour service in the oil field. And that started with one job because we were intrigued with how to create a simple programming technique for cladding all these intersecting bores. And normally each each stop and start on a weld is a line of code, and we simplified it so you only have 4 lines of code to generate hundreds of stops and starts. And so that's how it started. It was an intellectual challenge. It was a math problem. It was a lot of fun, and now it's 800 machines running all over the world.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. For those who are unfamiliar, can you walk us through what Specialties does and the types of systems you design and build, and who typically comes to you for help?
Fortunately for us, everybody does. So we're diverse. So right now, if you were wish you were here, I'd take you out in the shop. We're building some robots with 8 axes of motion. That's like 6 is normal, but this is for working on for the Navy. So we've
Oh,
got a lot of defense
cool.
work going on. Because right now there's a huge push to upgrade our shipbuilding. So
Right.
guess what? Robots are the way. If we take you over to another part of the project, another part of the shop, we're putting robots on drill ships. So normally a robot, you bolt it to the floor in a factory, right? And it does
Hmm.
something for its whole life and then you throw it away. But they're getting to be robots are getting to be so versatile and powerful that we decided we would move them out of the factory and move them to the problem. And so in this case, we're doing something called running riser, which is assembling the tubing that goes from the drill ship down 2 miles to the bottom of the ocean. And
Wow.
it is by definition a perfect robot job because it's dull, dirty, and dangerous.
Yeah.
And and so we got 2 robot actually on 3 drill ships as I speak. We've got robots out there running riser and getting people out of harm's way. This is a job that nobody on the rig complained about us taking away from people because it's truly a tough, horrible, dangerous job. People have
Yeah.
been severely injured. Uh, and then you walk through, we've done everything from plutonium to potato skins. So we just got to get the word out, right? And so people will bring us problems, and it could be trivial, it could be significant. And so we'll either tell them, yes, we have a solution. No, that's not technologically possible, but we'll
Right.
call you when it is. And, or it will be door number 3, which is, we don't know. And
Yeah.
if we don't know, we got a whole laboratory next door, and we go in the lab and we play and we experiment. And if it works, then we quote a project to the end user. And if it doesn't work, we just don't talk about it. But that's how these projects start. And
Right.
and then any industry in the world. We're in 33 countries. We're in every industry I can think of, all the way from food to defense. But it sounds like it's a huge variety. It's not. What it is motion control in a process. You know the difference between robotic machining of steel and robotic machining of human knees?
Actually, I don't. That would be
Knees are softer and easier to cut.
for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, from your perspective, what are some of the biggest pain points manufacturers are facing today, and how does ARC address them? I know you mentioned that you work with any industry who has a problem, and your team is so excited to see if they can find a solution. So, what are those pain points you normally see?
Ah, well, and I can talk to you from both perspectives because we're vertically
Right.
integrated. We build everything here, right at Arc Specialties. So we are a manufacturer. So hopefully that makes us a little more sympathetic to our customers because we're no better, right? And so I've got robots out there building robots. So they're starting to reproduce. If that might worry you. But why are people? What drives people to automation? I'm gonna rephrase your question a little bit.
Yeah.
It's either labor, cost, or in some cases, humans just aren't as good at some things as machines. Fortunately for us, there's still a place in the world for people. But
Hmm.
for example, you wouldn't want the lenses of your glasses to be made by hand. It simply
Right.
requires a greater level of precision than a human can do. Maybe there's exceptions, but you want them mass produced with absolute precision by a machine. So people come to us because humans don't have the ability, or they have labor problems. Or I had one interesting one where they didn't want to lay people off. They were in a very cyclical business, but they were willing to turn the robots off when business was down, but they didn't want to lay the people off. I thought that was kind of cool. And
Yeah.
and right now everybody's talking about reshoring, onshoring, that kind of thing. And yet a robot is nothing but a labor saving device. It's no different than a washing machine or a tractor or anything else. They're not taking jobs, they're actually keeping jobs here. Because if you want to compete in a global market, because welcome to the modern world, it is a
Right.
global market. The only way you can compete with a low labor cost country is with automation.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and so it's essential. So a lot of people are trying to reshore and automate right now for that reason. But I'm gonna worry you a little bit. I've been putting machines in all over the world, like I said, 33 countries. And I remember 20 years ago, I put a machine in China, and I asked the guys, I said, "Why did you buy this machine?" Because it
Yeah.
was $500,000, and back then you could have a welder for $50 a month. How many months is that?
Right.
That's and they said, we cannot compete with manually manufactured parts. And I thought they get it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. With the increasing demand for automation across sectors, how have you seen client expectations and technology requirements kind of shift over the years?
People don't know what is possible and what isn't. So, to to someone that's not familiar with any given industry, it's all magic to them anyway. And
Right.
so I think some of the expectations are a little bit and too big. And so what I like to do, people come to us and they say, "Hey, fix this problem." I go, maybe, but maybe that's not the best first project for your company. And so
Right.
my favorite example down south of Houston here, I went to a place called Easy Line. They make the pipe racks. And I don't know if you've ever been in a chem plant, but there's thousands of these things holding up the
Right.
pipes all over the place. So they're huge quantities, right? And the guy, he said, "Man, I want to get rid of my welders. They're problem children and a lot of defects." And I go, "Oh, that's good." But I said, I'm here. I'm going to do what I call a MAP,
Mhm.
Manufacturing Automation Audit Program, which means I walk from their receiving dock all the way through their manufacturing to their shipping dock. And I just look for opportunities where robots will work and will work easily. You don't want to do the hard jobs. You want to do the easy jobs.
Right.
And I
Right.
barely got into the plant, and the first thing I saw was this old template tracer that used a magnet, and it's a long story. And I said, Smithsonian wants this. And and sure enough, what's the old saying, garbage in, garbage out? We sold them a robotic plasma cutting machine. And guess what? All of their welding problems went away. They didn't have welding problems, they had part problems.
Right.
So they were, if left to their own devices, they would have fixed the wrong problem. And it might have worked, but the problem with bad parts is you have to have a more sophisticated welding robot because it has to
Mhm.
have adaptive control. That means it has to compensate for the crappy parts that you put into the system. So we sold him the plasma cutting robot. Their welding problems went away. He didn't run off his welders. That's good.
Amazing.
And then he bought a second robot, another cutting robot. So I've yet to sell him a welding robot. So that I think that's the problem I get with customers is they look at their biggest problem and they go, "That's what I want to automate." I go, "Maybe
Might
not.
not be the case.
Might not be,
Yeah.
or it might not be practical, or it might be harder than they really want." And so I recommend if you want to automate, you should talk to an automation guy, gal. That's right. And then and figure out if your expectations exceed current level of technology. Like I said, people ask us something, I go, "Oh, technology's not there yet." But it's so much fun when we call them back years later and go, "We're ready."
We could do it for sure. Absolutely. Custom automation comes with its own complexities. How does your team approach balancing innovation and reliability with repeatability?
They try to do a good job. I mean, you're absolutely right. So by definition, a prototype probably isn't as good as something that's been refined over a few years. But and I'd love to not sell you a prototype, but if you're trying to do something that's never been done before, sorry, you're the first.
Yeah.
You're going to be the first kid on the block to have a widget welding machine. And and in my guy's defense, I got to say we do a pretty good job, you know. But what's fun, like we do this sand screen machine for filtering sand out of oil wells. We built 30 of them.
Hmm.
No two of them are alike. Okay, so is that bad or good? At some point you're supposed to kill the engineer, right? But my guys are good enough that without exception, they always make small incremental improvements. And I don't discourage that. And my customers' experience would indicate they're doing it right.
Right.
So yeah, we're supposed to kill the engineer, lock the design, but every time we build one, we go like,
There's always room for improvement and
and
always
I
room for evolution, for sure.
now they get to be more and more subtle, and that's a good thing. But I don't discourage that. But so I guess to answer your question, you just have to be good at making prototypes.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Let's talk growth. How does ARC typically generate new business through referrals, trade shows, digital outreach, or other channels?
Yes, and so all the above.
All
I
of the
guess
above.
yeah. And for you marketing guys, you're not gonna like this answer, but the best way for us to find a new customer is an old customer. It's word of
For
mouth.
sure.
Yeah.
And that is like, it is powerful. Human connection and referrals in terms of actually having that client say, no, these guys amazing, they fixed my problem is extremely powerful, for sure.
Yeah, you can't beat it. But we only know so many people, so uh, I can't really tell you which of the three is best now. But we do a whole lot on social media, and I think that's very effective. It's surprising how effective it is. We'll make a
Hmm.
post, there'll be 10,000 people looking at it. And then same thing on YouTube. So we'll post a bunch of stuff on YouTube, and I'm really flattered. Some of the colleges will take our videos, and the profs will tell me they use our videos to teach the kids
That's
advanced welding.
cool.
Oh,
That's cool.
it's such an honor. But that also makes us credible as experts, right? And
Hmm.
so YouTube, social media, and then I remember during COVID, everybody was saying this is the nail in the coffin of trade shows. I go, I don't know, and I don't know what your experience is, but trade shows are bigger than ever.
They are a lot of our because as you know, a lot of our niche is B2B manufacturing and industrial companies. They're all doing trade shows and they're all having a great time and the human connection for sure.
Well, we had to buy a $2 million milling machine. To us, that's a lot of money. Okay, and so
Mm,
in order to do that, I sent a couple of the engineers up to Chicago for the International Machine Tools Show, IMTS, and I said, focus on the problem. And it was great. They didn't have any phones to answer. They were there to see all the different possible options on bridge mill machines. And they got to talk to the people they're going to be working with. They got to kind of like look under the covers and see how stuff was built. And for a small company like us, a $2 million investment is like serious. And so it was absolutely the right way to pick out that machine. And I don't think we're unique. I think other
yeah,
people are on the same page.
for sure, for sure.
And our
Um,
last one, I got to tell you, the last one, of course, is website. And we got a guy. He's great, and he really has made the website valuable, and that's working too.
Amazing, amazing. Many engineer-driven companies are still navigating digital transformation. What's your experience with digital marketing, your website, and lead generation through online platforms?
You better embrace it because that's reality, And but the good news is it's relatively cheap. Anybody can put up a website.
Yep.
Anybody could post on LinkedIn and YouTube. So the bang for the buck is tremendous. And what I tell people is, you don't have to be perfect. You just got to put something out there
Right.
because if you don't put anything out there, no one's going to see it. Now we'll put stuff out there, and we're flawed humans, and in spite of that, people watch it, and that creates leads, that creates opportunities. So
Amazing.
everybody's got to embrace it. And if you don't, you're going to lose.
If you can wave a magic wand and instantly optimize one area of your sales and marketing funnel, what would it be? Would it be more brand awareness, better qualified leads, stronger nurturing, or something else?
Better qualified leads, but how are you going to do that? That's a rough gig. Because like, the customers are asking for the wrong things at times,
Hmm.
and so they ask for something that's not feasible. Man, that's a tough one. I wish our hit rate was better. How do you do that? That I don't know. Our motto is we thrive on problems, send us yours, and that's literally what we need. We need people to think of us as a resource. So how do you do that? We're trying.
Yeah. From what I've seen, your team is a key driver in ARC's innovation. How do you foster that culture that attracts and retains technical talent while pushing boundaries of what's possible?
Well, I like people and I like hiring people and I like creating jobs and a lot of people seem to like that. And so without my people, I'm nothing, it's nothing but an old building with old machines, right? And so that's everything. So it's all about employee retention. So how do I do that? Well, there is no one way to do that. I wish there was. If there was a magic bullet, that would simplify my life. But some people like the bennies. Some people like, we give away stock. Some people like uh, just the working environment,
Yeah.
flex hours and such. And, and so it's interesting. The gal does HR with me, Emily. She and I we brainstorm on ideas like, let's think of something that people might get a kick out of. So our latest one is a tool bonus, and so whatever tool you want, we'll pay for half of it, and that includes everybody. And so
Yeah.
engineers too, they might want a set of calipers or something, so they and some people they're just tickled to death with that. Others they couldn't care less, and that's fine. That's fine. And then we do, get a Rolex after 10 years. Some people couldn't care less, and some people really like having a Rolex. So it's all about creating jobs, creating an environment where people want to work and continuity. Because right now you can call in and want to about a machine that was built 15 years ago. Well, probably that project manager still works here.
Yeah.
That,
And that's amazing.
that's a huge.
That is huge. Can you share a recent project or customer success story that reflects ARC's impact? One that highlights the expertise and value your team brings to the table?
The one I mentioned earlier, we're putting robots on drill ships. I like it because
Yeah.
it's radical. Nobody puts robots on ships, much less
Yeah,
drilling
it's true.
ships. And it was very, very stressful, because currently to operate a drill ship is well over $1 million a day. Okay, so
Hmm.
you don't want to be that guy that shut down the drill ship. And
Yeah.
so just to show you how serious they are on drill ships, it's two robots working together, cooperating, but there's a third robot, and he just sits on the deck waiting. He's on the bench, like put me in, coach. He's he's never gotten to go and work, but that just no industry other than the oil industry could tolerate the expense of one extra robot for every two. And so
Yeah.
very stressful. We've lost a lot of sleep, but it's working, and it works so well that we've got three three three
Hmm.
triplets robots on drill ships. Just sold a fourth one to Brazil.
Hmm.
But this could have still been a one trick pony, right? Because how many places can you put a robot on a drill ship? Well, we've already got two other jobs doing other stuff, and so I was really proud of the guys. They took it and ran with it. So many hurdles on that one. For example, even the standard connectors on a robot will not withstand constant splashing of seawater. So we're
Yeah,
having to
salt
upgrade.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're upgrading the robots, and then everybody that goes to the drill ship has to get helicopter crash training. So it's five of my guys. We put them in a helicopter. We flipped it upside down underwater, and if you could unbuckle and swim out, you passed. And
Wow.
so far,
Wow.
all of them have passed, which that's encouraging. But it was just radical because it's a non-standard environment. All the parts are completely random in positioning, a lot of sensing. And then when you're disassembling this is after it's been on the bottom of an ocean for quite a while. So normally in a factory, you don't have to deal with the presence or absence of barnacles, but
Yes.
in this case, you do. So the guys did a killer job. I'm so proud of them, and that was a great one. So what relevance does that have to any of your listeners today? Everything. What I'm telling you is don't I want you to think outside of the box. Robots are
Right.
nothing but a precise motion control device. Back in the old days, they could go to position. Now they can go to force. There's a lot of new technology that has evolved in the robotics industry. So I'm looking forward to more of these projects where we're doing non-standard stuff and getting people out of harm's way.
For sure. And it's a testament to you and the ARC team to take on those challenges and think outside of the box and build something brand new. It's amazing. What's next for ARC? Are there new markets, technologies, or strategies that you're hoping for or excited to see?
Well, I'm in Texas, right? And I'm in Houston. That's the oil field. And a lot of my friends that are entrepreneurs down here, that's what they do. They do oil, and more oil.
Hmm.
And that's a problem. So, me, I like to eat. I like to stay busy. And so we do this through diversification. We automate all sorts of processes, everything from pick and place to welding, to machining. We work in all sorts of industries, and that way we can take a piece of technology from one industry,
Yeah,
apply it to another, makes us look smart, but in reality, it's something we've done somewhere else. And the third thing is geography. We're
right.
diverse in geography. I'm in 33 countries. So if you got these three levels of diversity, then you'll probably have some work, because not everything follows the same cycle. So, some of these industries or some of these countries, some of these technologies are counter-cyclical. And for us, it's working. But it's interesting. I was at a conference, a robot conference, not too long ago, and they're talking to the integrators. That's what ARC is a robot integrator. And it was one of the manufacturers, and they're telling the integrators, you need to specialize. And so I was thinking, like, I think I'm doing this wrong. But, we've been doing it for 43 years, so must be doing something right. So what's in the future? I'm getting back to your question. You got to be patient. Uh, is overseas.
Right.
For example, right now, what country is buying over half the robots purchased every year? That's a question. Guess.
I don't know.
China.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah,
China. So they are
makes a lot.
embracing this. And so I look at that and I go like, that means half of my robots should be going to China. Well, they're not. And so I'm
Yeah.
looking at a market that is underserved, at least by Arc Specialties. So that's what I'm going to push is uh, is that level of diversity. We're already very diverse on processes, very diverse
Yeah.
on industries, but I want to do more overseas work. I believe in a global economy. I also believe that if I create a machine that creates jobs in some country, that improves people's lives and it also leads to a more peaceful world. If everybody's got to go to work, and
Yeah.
I think the world's more peaceful. That might be naive, but that's my philosophy. So that's what's in the near future is more exports.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story, insights, and perspective. Your commitment to problem solving world problems through custom automation and advanced robotics is really inspiring. And I know our listeners will definitely love hearing your story as well. Thanks again for being here. And to everybody listening, we'll see you on the next episode of Growth Challenges for Manufacturers.
Thanks for having me on.